ask yourself, what would Goku do? So this video is in response to Qaamans' video where he talked about how he was bullied when he was younger, partially because of his love for Dragon Ball. Now, Qaamans is one of my inspirations to actually when I started my channel, and was the first Dragon Ball channel I ever subscribed to. And this brought up memories back to when I was bullied in elementary school as well. Although, our stories were different, as I didn't get bullied because of my love for Dragon Ball, it still brought up these deep-rooted memories that I have chosen to forget about, and I have not really discussed with anybody else. So this is going to be a pretty detailed vision of what happened when I was younger. I want to make this video to show people that if you are getting bullied, it will end, it can end, and not only can you get help, but you can end it yourself, like the way how I ended it myself as well. So let's go back to 2005, when I was in the 3rd grade. This is where the bullying pretty much began. So when 3rd grade had begun, I was already not too happy because I was put in a class without any of my friends that I've already made. To make matters worse, over the course of the summer, I went from a skinny kid to a chubby kid. Now not fat, but chubby. And people really noticed this and called me out on it. Now most people have stopped after the first few days and stopped talking about it, but one guy didn't. And his name was David. To give you guys an image of this David guy, just imagine a tall, redneck guy with an ugly face filled with freckles. This guy bullied me every single day in the 3rd grade. He tore up my artwork, he stole my homework, he pushed me down, he made fun of me, he said I smelled, and he even made fun of my clothes. Funny enough, weeks after making fun of one of my shirts, he showed up to school wearing the same exact shirt. I was powerless. I didn't have any real friends in this class, and at this time, I was a pacifist, and the school told me nothing differently. I remember vividly my teacher telling us that if we were even getting beaten up in the middle of the street, that we should wait for help and not fight back. Yeah, if a school or a teacher tells you this, tell them to fuck off because they're trying to brainwash you not to stand up for yourself. I didn't have any real friends in my class, I had no backup, and I was a very peaceful guy. When he made fun of me, I laughed with him even though I was not really laughing on the inside. And this went throughout the entire year. 3rd grade was terrible. I counted the hours till the weekend, the weeks till Christmas vacation or spring break, and the months till summer. And when finally summer came, I had 3 months away from David, and then 4th grade rolled around. I was horrified to see that David and I had the same class yet again. Now, there was one key difference this time though. Not only did I take a few months of Taekwondo over the summer, I had become a yellow belt with a green stripe, but that wasn't the only thing. I had also taken up the sport of American football. These two things taught me how to defend myself and use my bodies in ways I don't think I could. And I could really increase my strength if I got pissed off, so it was sort of like Gohan. Now luckily the beginning of 4th grade, David sat on the other side of the class, and not only that, it seemed he had found some new victims for himself to bully, and I was thankful because he didn't really bully me anymore. But wasn't this selfish of me? Now other people were getting harmed instead of me. So here's the thing though, once at recess, I was minding my own business. I saw David the bully messing around with his usual new victims, and I decided to just watch. David not only literally stole the candy from the kids as we had lunch right before recess, but when one of the kids refused to give up his candy to David, he was pushed to the ground. This shocked me in 2 ways. One, David had taken his bullying to the next level. Instead of emotional or mental bullying, he had now started physical abuse. Yes, he had tripped me and pushed me down in the past, but it wasn't really hard, and David pushed this guy down hard and kicked him while he was down. Now, I actually asked myself, what would Goku do? As I was a huge Dragon Ball Z fan at the time, I would go to the library every week to check out mangas of Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball. I would watch Dragon Ball Z every weekend on TV, and I would always go to Blockbuster on the weekends and get the Dragon Ball Z movies. I was a huge fan. And as a kid, you obviously idolize shows that you watch and superheroes, and I idolized Goku. And so I thought to myself, what would Goku do? Now, we do know that Goku is not a pacifist. He was not completely against violence. He was protecting the good guys though, and I decided I needed to act. Now, remember, I said there were 2 things that shocked me. What was the other thing? Well, that kid that stood up to David was braver than I ever was. He was the only person I had ever seen stand up to David, and he was much smaller than I was. His act of defiance against David was my inspiration to take action. Now, I had begun to sprint towards David at full speed. David was around 30 yards away, so it took me a few seconds to get to him. And when I finally hit him, it was a loud crack. Despite playing football for an entire season, that was the hardest hit I ever laid on somebody. Everybody was shocked, and so was David. He looked weak and embarrassed. He was looking up at me from the ground, and I was looking back down at him with a serious look. He probably never thought that the roles would be reversed. Now at this moment, David was very vulnerable, and if I wanted to, I could have beat the shit out of him. But then I remembered when Goku actually let Frieza live on Namek, and I sort of did the same thing. We walked away, and David actually just sat there for the rest of recess. He didn't even move. I believe it was a wake-up call for him. Now, I didn't see David do that much bullying for the rest of the year, and in the 5th grade, I didn't even have a class with him, and we had different recess time. So I didn't see David at all in the 5th grade, except for passing when we walk in classes, or when school got let out, or school was beginning to start. And I didn't know if in 5th grade if he was a bully or not, but I was at least glad that I didn't see him anymore. And then 6th grade rolls around. Oh, middle school, what a bitch you were. And David was still a bully. In fact, he had kind of gotten worse. Now before I talk about David more, I want to talk about myself in the 6th grade. So basically, I was the jock, but I was the nerdy jock. I was the jock that was nice to people. So in the 6th grade, I was 5 feet 7 inches, and I was the biggest kid in the entire class at 185 pounds. But I wasn't fat. I had a lot of muscle, and I was just a big dude. I have big, wide, broad shoulders, so I can look lighter but be heavier than what people think I am. And I was extremely athletic. I was really good at football and basketball, and I was actually one of the fastest kids in the school. Well, for my grade at least. Now, it does sound like I'm bragging about myself, but this is just how I really was, and I want to explain how I was and how that affected when David tried to bully me again. I only had one class with David, and that was PE, Physical Education. Now, I also had this class with a girl that I had a massive crush on, and to be honest, it's kind of weird, but this girl now looks like a real-life version of Android 18, but that's besides the point. Now, I was very competitive in this class, not just because this girl was my class, but because David was in there as well. And no, hell no, I didn't forget about the bullying. I beat him in the mile every single time. I pegged his ass out all the time in dodgeball, and in basketball, I made him look silly every time he tried to guard me, and I'd block the shit out of him when he'd shoot a layup. And unfortunately, one of my so-called friends decided to tell everyone in my grade that I liked this girl that I previously mentioned. And man, I was pissed off. I mean, yeah, I eventually ended up dating the girl by the end of the year, but I thought all my chances were ruined at the same time. The thing is that David was going to use this as ammo against me. He texted the girl one day pretending to be me. He told her bad things about me that I didn't even do. This all culminated to the first two-hand touch football game of the class. I remember this clear as day. I covered David one-on-one, and he covered me one-on-one, as we both had to play wide receiver and DB. As for when we played two-hand touch football, all we had was a quarterback and then receivers. So there was no running backs, no linemen. It was the first possession of the game. My team had the ball. The issue here is that instead of covering me the right way, David decided to actually grab my neck and choke me to stop my progressions as a receiver. And I was shocked that he actually had the balls to do that. Well, bad move for David. The very next play, I lit his ass up again. I went full speed and just pushed him with my arms as I was running and knocked him to the ground. This was bad though. I hit David so hard that he actually rolled around and smacked his head on the cement. Yeah, we had to play on these games on the basketball courts outside. We didn't get to play on the field because we were the 6th graders. The big deal here though is that David was crying. "You could have killed me," as he held his head bawling. I felt happy. A good thing about it though is that the girl I was crushing on saw the whole thing. She smiled at me. Again though, I was faced with another decision. Do I continue to beat his ass or to let him go again like Frieza on Namek? Well, I let him go again. First off, I'd already basically beat his ass just by knocking him to the ground. He was crying, and now he was so scared of me that he didn't even tell on me for hurting him like that. He didn't even tell the teachers. And David never bothered me again after this. So the whole sort of moral of the story and why I want to talk about this is that to think to yourself, what would Goku do? Stand up for yourself, defend yourself, stand up for others, but if you have already defeated the bully, don't stoop to their level, don't take it too far. If you are small and not old enough to lift weights, try and take a martial arts class, and if you are old enough to lift weights, then lift weights and also take a martial arts class. The bigger you are and the more ammo you have to throw back against your bullies, the less likely they're going to bully you. But the thing is, guys, it doesn't always have to be physical. If you just diss the bully in front of a crowd and embarrass them and get people to make fun of them, then you can beat them in that way as well. And I've seen it happen multiple times. Even in middle school, my friend used to get bullied by this one guy who was much more physically endowed than him, and yet my friend fucking just destroyed him in like making fun of him, and then everybody made fun of the bully, and then he stopped making fun of my friend because he couldn't take the heat. Just don't let these guys ruin your life. Tell a teacher, but remember to defend yourself. Stand up for yourself. Now, if a teacher tells you to don't fight back, don't do that. That's brainwashing. You are in your own legal right to defend yourself. It doesn't change when you're on school property. And if the school or the teachers tell you to let people beat you up and not fight back, well, tell them to go fuck themselves, because they're fucking stupid. That's not how the real world works, and school is supposed to help you learn things for the real world. If a teacher tells you, don't hit back, wait for a teacher to come, don't listen to these idiots. Most of the time, they will never show up when you need them. So, guys, take all of this. If you're getting bullied, stand up for yourself. Take a martial arts class if you can. Lift weights. Get friends that will have your back. Talk to the teachers if you need to. And if you're getting physically harassed, defend yourself. And I don't care if you're getting bullied by another dude. Hit him in the nuts if you have to. You can say that's a dick move, but the dude's bullying you. If he's bullying you physically, he's punching you, pushing you to the ground, he deserves a rightful kick in the nuts. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it maybe inspires you to fight back against your bullies or defend yourself, stand up for yourself. And I have to give a huge thanks to all my Patreon supporters, Daraj Payton, the awesome guy who only supports Broku on Patreon, and Zaxwortaku. Those are my Super Saiyans. And thanks to my Super Saiyan 2s, Israel Flores, Mystic Ghoul, Darius, Badass Thug, Jackie Marneef, and Jacob Griffin. Thank you guys so much for all the support. It really does mean a lot, and it really does help me out. And I hope you guys all of you guys, have an amazing day. Peace out.